This is The Wheel Weaves, a Wheel of Time podcast with no spoilers. Hey everyone, I'm your host Dani, and I'm the first-time reader going through this series chapter by chapter. As always, there's no spoilers past the chapter we're covering, and that means it's totally safe for first-time readers. I'm joined by my co-host Brett, who's a longtime fan, and he's guiding me on this journey. We'd like to thank and acknowledge our executive producers, Brandy and Aaron Kirkwood, Sean McGuire, Yanis, LightBlindedFool, Green Man, Margaret, Big C, Bennett, Williamson, Hannah Green, Noralia, Geof, Searles, Erik Reed, Greysin, Ishara, Ashlee Bradley, Helena, Jacobsen, Matthew Mendoza, Cyndi, and Daniel Moore. And before we get into things today, we just want to thank and welcome Chris Hicks and Grumpy Grizz to the Wheel Weaves Patreon team. Thank you so much for your generosity and your support. We really, truly appreciate it and could not do this without you. In this episode, we are covering chapter 48 and 49 of Towers of Midnight, and this is our second part to this event.
2 of 2. We are focusing primarily on chapter 49, Court of the Sun.
Yeah.
We just finished chapter 48, Near Avendesora, which was my favorite chapter for reasons. Mm-hmm. And now we get the epic conclusion here, the other perspectives. And I see that you have been doing some color coding notes, some actual notes. Like, that's kind of impressive.
Like I wrote in a notebook.
You wrote in a notebook, in your notebook that you have for notes.
Yeah, I know.
So
crazy,
good
right?
For you. Good
crazy.
For you. Yeah. I'm excited to go over these ones because, like you said, it's almost like a more positive feel to these ones. Maybe you didn't say that, but I feel more positive about these ones. It's not as hopeless. Like, these people in these scenes have more hope.
Mm-hmm. Because they don't know yet.
They don't know yet how bad it's going to get. They don't even know that.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, I found it more interesting, too, because this is when I can start to draw out, like, Rand's family line.
Right.
From Elaine and Avienda. And, like, that's kind of interesting for me.
You know, before they all die off.
Yeah. Now.
Right.
The opposite of ancestors?
Yeah, okay, that's my fun fact.
Oh, is it? Okay, because we got, wow.
Couple comments, but I appreciate it because
it's been one day.
My brain, it has been less than 24 hours.
That episode, part 1, was released today, and we're recording tonight.
And we recorded it last night.
Yeah.
So
right away, lots of people had lots of things to say about the things we said wrong.
Our brains weren't working.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was working as well as it normally does.
Oh, you know what? That reminds me. We actually have another correction to make from a past episode.
Oh, no. What was that one?
The Fail second in line thing.
Right.
Apparently doesn't mean that she's like the next to get the throne.
Okay,
because she's second in line, not first in line. Like Bashir, I think, is first in line.
Oh, that would make sense.
But then if Tenobia has kids, then Bashir wouldn't be first in line anymore.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So she's second in line.
Right.
Not like second to Tenobia.
Well, why'd they have to say it like that? That's weird. That's a weird phrasing.
That's what I said. That's a correction.
Can't be
lots of people internet screamed at me
Can't be held responsible for that one.
Right?
Okay, so my fun fact is about the opposite of ancestors.
Descendants.
That's one of them. So I looked up a few more. So
Progeny.
Okay, I didn't get that one, but heirs is another one.
Okay.
Yeah, like those are my heirs, right? And another one that is acceptable, scion.
Scion.
Yeah, S-C-I-O-N comes from the old French word C-I-U-N for shoot or twig, like a young shoot or twig of a plant, especially one for grafting or rooting. So the interesting part here, that is my fun fact basically, is there's a lot of overlap between scion and heir and descendants. So both are defined as, one who receives property from an ancestor, one who's entitled to inherit property, but heir is more appropriate for a child or relative who inherits something. Yep. But here's the thing, a scion is more often for wealthy, influential families, whereas heir and descendants is for the modest folks. So, if you want to be fancy, always refer to your children as scions going forward.
Not crotch goblins.
Not that. Exactly. Scion is the words you're looking for. Mm-hmm. Fancy. People will be like, oh, you must be powerful and influential.
Got it.
That's the fun fact for today. You're welcome.
What about
scion?
Offspring?
Not as fancy. Not as fancy. Mm-hmm. I had a separate question, too, just to drag this episode out a little bit longer, because I was going to ask at the end, but now I want to ask at the beginning. If you had to choose the Wayback Machine, you have to go one way. You get to see your ancestors, or you get to see your descendants. You only get one. You don't get
100%
both.
100% ancestors, without a doubt.
You want to see your aunt? Really?
Oh, yeah. I don't want to see the future.
Interesting. Why?
I already have too much anxiety. I can't. Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
No.
And, like, even if my ancestors are terrible, I'll be like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not that surprised.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh.
Or like, maybe they're not. And it's like, hey, that's cool.
Wow.
Right?
Wow, I'm way worse.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually what I'm concerned about.
Yeah, they're way better than me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a frivolous person.
You wouldn't want to do
compared to my great grandparents.
Look at her not
Yeah.
just throwing out this ruined clothes. She's knitting it back together or something.
Yeah.
I just did a little
And they
purge of some of my clothes, but
I'm sure they never let their vegetables get rotten in the bottom of their vegetable
oh,
drawer.
you wouldn't. You don't have enough vegetables for that.
Oh, I
Yeah.
wish.
Okay.
No, just
Okay.
so bad.
Yeah. You wouldn't take a stance like Avienda where she's like, she wants to be able to change things?
No.
Like if you got to see your descendants,
Okay, hold on.
you wouldn't want to try to guide them on the right path?
Is there a caveat where I see my descendants?
Right.
And
It's
then
changeable?
and it's changeable?
But you don't know that. You don't know that.
Then no.
Okay. I mean, that's a fair answer. Yeah.
I just feel like no.
But Avienda's entire point of this, at the very end of this chapter, is like, I'm still
work to change it.
Still gonna try. Even if I can't, I'm still gonna try. Like, that's not gonna stop
Well,
me.
she also didn't have much of a choice
Well,
in what she saw.
fair.
And so
You don't have a choice in this hypothetical. You got one or the other. So
yeah, no, exactly. So
Right.
I get to, that is a choose.
Okay.
That is
Yeah.
a choice,
Okay.
actually.
That's fair. Yeah. You're right. Okay.
Yeah.
Ancestors. Interesting.
What about you?
I think I should have thought about this more because I was asking you.
I'm kind of scared about how the world will look in the future,
Right.
and it will make me
No, see the
not
planner,
want to
the
keep
planning,
trying
the
so
planning
hard.
side of me. I would want to see the future. I would
How far in the future?
enough to help the kids. If I know what's coming.
Well, that's oblige of you. What's that one? Nobly so
Yeah, nobly so yeah. Very noble of me.
It's
Yes.
so noble of you to set your kids up for success.
Right. Or at least try to. That's okay. Anyways, we have a chapter to go through.
You don't care about what happened in the past?
Well, I don't say I
I'm
didn't.
so interested in all that. Like, that's interesting to me.
I'm not saying it's not. It's just if I had to
The
only
future
choose.
is terrifying.
If I only had to choose one.
That's what you're choosing?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's what I'm choosing because it's something that I may be able to affect. It would be cool to see ancestors.
Yeah.
But in my hypothetical,
I'm just
I only
not
get one.
convinced that I could affect anything, and then it would just cause me to spiral and not be able to live my life well.
For sure.
Now.
I get that too.
Yeah.
I get that.
Because I'm crazy.
Yeah, we know that. we know.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay. All right. Chapter 49, Court of the Sun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got some stuff to talk about here. So, shall we just jump into it?
Yeah. Okay. So, chapter symbol is the Aiel shield and spears again.
Mm-hmm.
And we are continuing right after chapter 48. So, we're continuing with Avienda's visions of her future kin.
Yeah.
Her descendants.
Yeah.
And the way chapter 48 ends is she takes the next step. And
Right.
so right away here, chapter 49, we're in another perspective. And this name, for me, reads a little too close to Leandrin. And my brain cannot read this name.
It's not even that close. There's an L and an N and
but
a D.
I don't really see
and an I and an A. There's a lot of similar
names
letters.
in this series.
Yeah.
I see it, I recognize it for what it
Ladolin.
is, and then I keep moving. But it's quite close to Leandrin.
Ladolin?
For me.
Ladalin?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I didn't like that.
All right.
That's my first critique.
All right. Good critique. Good job. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Turns out this is a super old wise one.
Yeah. Well,
Knobbly
okay.
fingers.
Yeah, and when you say super old, like regular old because she can't channel.
Well, yeah.
It's not like a
But she's
super old.
Well, we just saw like a 14-year-old. So this is an old lady.
Yeah.
Not a young lady.
You could assume maybe in her 60s.
Oh, I think older than that. I don't think you get knobbly fingers.
If you live in a hard life, you would, I think.
Mm.
I'm just saying, it's not like, when you said old lady, I'm thinking, the channelers could be hundreds of years old. It's an old lady.
I think she's 80.
You think she's 80? Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
60's not even old.
For a hard life in the waste.
Maybe.
I don't know. That's
Okay.
not the focus of this.
Anyway, this chick really wishes that she had learned to channel.
Yeah, well, she can't.
She can't.
No point wishing for that.
Right.
Because the Shanshin have been really good at finding everybody, man or woman, who can channel. One really interesting question I'm going to pose right off the bat here. The Shanshin would have some reason to find male channelers because the source is no longer tainted.
Yeah.
So now you don't just have Damani necessarily as women. You might have them dipping into the...
Oh, 1,000% they are.
The male channeler
There's
side.
a reason why earlier in this series, the hunt for the male Adam was such a thing.
Well, that was for Rand specifically.
And we know...
That was for Rand specifically, though.
Well, yeah, but let's adapt it. Why not?
For sure, yeah.
Especially with a Black Tower. Like, there's so many male channelers.
Yeah.
We might as well use them, too.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's just like when you look at the Shanshin power, they can really exponentially grow now because now you're not just eliminating and like killing off half of the channelers. You can now use all of them to full force, basically.
Yeah.
So it's not good. Anyways.
Okay, so she's thinking a little bit about what's going on in her life right now and what she has known about her entire life.
Yeah.
She's known war basically for her whole existence.
Yeah.
And this concept of Geyshine where Aiel weren't needed to be fighters and warriors all the time.
Now it's all hands on deck.
It's like she can't even comprehend it.
Yeah, and we actually see the introduction later on because she references, like when she was a little girl, I think, she grew up with the Almouth strikes.
Right.
And then her life was dedicated around the fights and battles around what used to be called Tyr. So in her vision, Tyr has already fallen, and we see them talking in like the last perspective of the chapter, like around there, about them talking about beginning the Almouth strikes. Like very reasonably, like that might be where things kick off.
Okay.
So... yeah, they're having a meeting right now. It's a kind of a sorry meeting because there's not very many people left. There's a couple references here. We've got a meeting with the clan chiefs and the wise ones who remain of the original Council of 22. So, do you want me to run the numbers for you?
Sure.
There are traditionally 12 Aiel tribes, right? Clans.
Clans, okay.
So, the Shido are one. They're gone. There's 11 remaining. One clan chief and one wise one from 11 clans.
Makes up 22.
Council of 22.
Okay.
The math checks out on that side.
Okay.
We have 2 wise ones and 3 clan chiefs remaining.
So things are bad.
You could say that. We've got a couple clans that have been entirely eliminated. Only 5 are like remaining and 1 is broken from what we can even see in this conversation. But it's not good. So we got the Tardad, the Goshain, the Miagoma, and then 2 unknown clans here represented.
Yeah. Okay, so turns out the most unbelievable thing has happened. The White Tower has fallen.
Yeah, this is big. This is big.
Now, you know why this is the most unbelievable?
Because it took so long?
Because there's no way the White Tower lasted this long.
Okay, but yeah, so I get what you're saying.
like absolutely, there's no way.
But maybe, with Egwene kicking ass for a little while, really kick into battle mode, maybe make some drastic changes because they actually see how desperate things get. And the whole concept of this entire chapter here, too, is we've got this concept of the Dragon's Peace, which has maybe not actually been the best thing. So we're going to have to really dig into this Dragon's Peace that has
The dragon wanted peace.
The dragon wanted peace. And maybe that's partly in why the White Tower has survived, because they had a time of peace to build up their defenses and really actually start doing things. It doesn't really
sound like the Shanshin is respecting the dragon's peace.
But here's the thing. It sounds like they are. It sounds like they have and are. Not right now, because we're too far in the future. But the Shanshin did respect the dragon's peace also, until the Aiel gave the letters to Elaine's daughter on the throne, which turned out to kind of be a fake. So it's like there's this
Elaine's granddaughter.
Granddaughter? Yeah. So there's this whole thing that's
which
like
we'll get to.
We'll
now
get
we're
to it.
Ahead. Okay.
We are. But anyways,
I'm gonna do the thing after we're done here. I'm gonna do the thing where I read the perspectives backwards.
That's also great. I love it. To really
then it's
see
forwards in time.
Yeah, and that's easier for our brains to figure out here.
Right.
So the White Tower has fallen.
The Shanchen have captured Ruidian.
Yep, that's happened, so that's not good. And it's really rude because now the clans don't know how to pick any new clan chiefs or anything. Like, that's frustrating.
Right. And I'm wondering, when they go through the columns of Ruidian in the future, what do they see?
Exactly.
Do they see the future?
Well, I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know. That's the question. There's so many questions.
I was hoping it would be like a little answered or something. Nope.
Yeah, no. So Ladolin is saying that there's still hope, but one of the clan chiefs is like, no, we're broken, we're beating. The only option we have is to retreat into the Threefold Land to seek penance for the sins. And that kicks off the argument about, like, what sins, and they're saying the dragon wanted peace, and one of them says, and this is really interesting because we get this actually referenced a few times this chapter, the dragon left us. It doesn't talk about the dragon dying specifically. There's a few references where it's like, he abandoned us, he left us.
Well, and then there's somebody who is like, I refuse to follow the memory of a man my great fathers barely knew.
Yeah.
So that kind of puts us at a point where
we are generations ahead here.
Even if Rand died, well,
yeah.
And obviously at this point,
well,
Rand,
like at some point you'd have to assume.
Like, we don't know where or how or when.
Yeah.
But I think metaphorically,
right.
he left them because, as we learn later, he left them out of this peace pack.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's, like, again, it's there's so much information and, like, hypothetical information packed into this too about what might happen. And we don't even know if this is actually set in stone. That's the other issue here. But yeah, so we have this whole agreement that the Threefold Lands is, at this point, it's their only option because the war against the Ravens has been lost.
Yeah.
And this, again, is one of these sentences that's going to make a lot more sense when we see it later on here. So Takai, one of the clan chiefs, says, they said they'd hunt us when they demanded surrender. They warned us against retreat. They said they would destroy any place where 3 Aiel gathered. And then looking back at chapter 48, with all the, like, the gatherings of all the Aiel where they keep getting scattered over and over again,
yes.
This is just where it began, right?
Yeah.
Well, not even began, but, like, we're in the middle of it.
Well, no, this is where we hear the official proclamation.
Yeah,
of the
like, that's what they've told
being
us.
Like, you didn't surrender.
Yeah.
And so now we're going to hunt you.
Yeah. And we do learn about lineage here, too. So Ladolin is one of the last living of the dragon's lineage. The 3 other lines have been killed off. Yeah, so that's also... It's so sad. Like, I always imagine... You want to imagine.
It doesn't feel... like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just looking at this too logically.
Sure.
That's what happens. Lines don't, like, go on forever.
Well, one line has to. If there's anybody in the world, at least there's an OG. Like,
yeah, but in a time of just, like, great, like, this lady is, like, 80 years old and it's been war her whole life.
Yeah, it's not
great.
And
war before that and war before that.
Well,
that's a bad time.
You know whose lineage is probably still going?
Who?
The Shanshins, the Empresses. Probably.
Unless, they're all assassinating each other, though.
Exactly. But, at least one is surviving. So
right.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
So we got some issues now because if the Aiel become slaves to the Shanshan, they know there is no chance of the Aiel coming back. So their return to the waste is functionally saying, we're going to abandon here, the wetlands, we're going to go to the waste, rebuild our strength, and maybe our children's children can fight where we can't.
Wrong.
Nope.
The narrator comes in. The children didn't rebuild their strength.
No, it didn't work.
Fight back.
Yeah. So we get a lot of the turning points of the war too. So this is just a huge info dump for the setup for the events we see later on in the chapter.
The hypothetical future that might possibly happen.
Yeah,
maybe.
But also the scenes that we're going to see played out here.
Yes.
So we've got a couple things. I'm just going to keep going. So
you.
I'm so excited to talk about it. So
yeah. You do you. We're all here to listen to you geek out about this.
Okay. So the turning point of the war was the entry of the other nations. And we get to see the entry of the other nations with later on.
Yeah.
But Ladolin is thinking, with that, the Shanshan were able to seize all of the wetlands and their people and gather more channelers for their ranks. So the thing is, the Shanshan were respecting the dragon's peace until it was broken.
Turning point.
Until the turning point when the other nations joined in. Then they were able to launch a full-out war, and they won.
They won it. And the Ravens were unstoppable.
Exactly. Especially now that the White Tower is gone. That was the last nation or, like, opposing force in the wetlands. The Shanshan have everything else. So last episode, you're like, maybe they don't have all of it.
Okay.
They do. They do.
Because after the burning of Kyrian and the scouring of Ilion,
yeah.
and it had been 20 years since the Shanshan had gained the Andoran war machines.
Right, the dragons. So that's
so they have those two on top of their channelers.
They got everything. Now, the only little caveat to the resistance here.
The Black Tower.
The Black Tower, sort of. There are pockets of Ashaman who are secretly fighting back, allegedly. The Black Tower structurally is gone. Like, there is no actual Black Tower. Yeah, but the Aiel don't want to fight in secret, so it's all going terrible. Mm-hmm. And Yeah. And then this Tataki guy. Takai. He's one of the clan chiefs. There's only 3 clan chiefs
here. He really doesn't like Rand. He's the one who keeps on going. It's Karn's fault anyway.
Yeah.
He could have led us to glory, but instead he abandoned us.
Right, and he's like, what's good being his people? We were crafted to be a spear, as the legends say. He used us, then cast us away.
Yeah. And then Ladolin is like, hey, listen, that's my great distant great father.
Yeah.
You watch your mouth.
But also, so we're going to go back to the threefold land.
Yeah, and Aiel take responsibility for themselves. This is our fault, not Rand's.
Yes, and the dragon's piece, and that's referenced over and over and over again. So, yeah, the Aiel are going back, and that is the end of this perspective, and we get to see the decision being made with the remainder of the Aiel, which is not a heck of a lot anymore. There is also another reference here that there's been like hundreds of thousands of deaths, so the Aiel numbers themselves are also just like we are really struggling here.
Yeah.
So it's not good.
Not good.
Okay.
It's bad, in fact.
Yeah. So that's perspective change.
Yeah.
Back to Avienda. Yeah.
So she takes another step forward, and at this point, she's nearly reached the center of the columns.
Yeah.
So
does that help? Does that help you?
It depends. Is she weaving? Is she going in a straight line? Is she walking in circles?
It's one of those things where my brain, I've just like, I don't get it, so I've never really tried to get it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep going.
Hey, that's me with this entire book series.
Yeah, but like some stuff I want to...
Now you get it.
Some stuff I want to spend time on thinking, like figuring out like Andoran family, how like that. Yeah. But this concentric circle stuff, I need a flowchart, a PowerPoint.
It's like Snakes and Foxes, it's like the board game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I need like a little clay diorama. Someone needs to make it and then walk me through it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or maybe one out of glass.
Little version of me that as a little figurine that they can be like, this is you, and then walk me through and how it goes.
Or it can just be like, go however you go. That's really what it feels like.
Turns out, doesn't matter where you go, the glass columns are just be like, nah, I choose.
You go where you want. Yeah.
Okay, anyways, for Avienda, this has been the worst vision yet.
Yeah, but you know what? She's less angry.
Yeah, that's true.
Because before, she was confused, and she thought she was seeing, like, the distant Aiel.
Yeah.
And now she's realizing it's the future Aiel, and she's like, how did we turn into these sniveling, not even fighting for ourselves? It's the worst.
And it's the distortion of the Aiel way. Like, she talks about how the guys shine, like the phrasing is different than what it should be. Yeah. And they associate war with honor, but they don't have the reason why. No one's even talking about Geof. Yeah. Like, there's no why behind what they do. So this is bad. You can't just fight for hatred of the Shanshan.
And that's what they're doing.
And that's what they're doing at this point. So
yeah. And so Avienda thinks, how had this happened to the Aiel? And she takes a step forward.
Right.
Okay, but let's take a real quick break here, and then we'll come back into our next really cool perspective.
Is it your favorite?
This one's my favorite
perspective.
Yeah,
I thought it would be. Okay.
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're back, and now Avienda has become Ankala.
Yeah,
Ankala.
Yeah.
Maiden of the Spear and Avienda's granddaughter.
Yeah, this is big. This is a big one. You know what? And the time frames on all these people really puts into question who is surviving how long. Mm-hmm. Especially with like Elaine's granddaughter, and then this is Avienda's granddaughter.
Yes.
And it doesn't seem that far in the future, considering Elaine and Avienda are so powerful channels. They should live hundreds of years. Mm-hmm. They should have hundreds of years for their natural lifespan.
Right.
Clearly, things have not gone super well.
Well, and to be fair, there's no real mention here that
people are dead.
Elaine and Avienda are both dead.
There isn't, but also, where are they? They're never here today.
They're never here today.
Okay. All right, this is great, though. So, she, Ankala, is direct lineage of the dragon, and it seems like there is some responsibility to continue that line, because she thinks eventually she'll give up the spear to Mary as her generations before, like her mother, her mother's mother, her mother's mother's mother.
Yeah.
So it seems like there is a bit more responsibility on her to continue the dragon lineage.
Okay.
In my mind, anyways.
Okay, so she's walking through the streets of Camelin.
And you're like, what you doing here? Who are you visiting?
What are you doing here?
Yeah.
Because I just heard, last I heard, this place fell. So
Right.
Now it's not fallen?
Right now it seems okay.
Seems all right.
Mm.
Okay, so she's here with a dude.
Yes, so the man beside her is Heyal, Hehyal.
Heyal.
Heyal. He is very honorable. He's killed more Shanshan than anybody of his society. And he'd been granted permission to go to Ruidian last year to become a clan chief. But this is where we learn that it sounds like Ruidian is currently being besieged by the Shanshan. Like, it seems like it's a right now thing, just in the phrasing and context of things.
Okay.
Even though the Shanshan were told that Ruidian is a place of peace, the Aiel didn't attack the palace in Abu Dar, so they should have left Ruidian alone, but now they went and did it, and then they did it bad.
Lizards.
Ugh, yeah. So this is also big, so we get a timestamp here. She thinks after decades of war, the battle lines have remained pretty much the same as they were after her great father went to Shael Ghul, so that would be Rand.
That's Rand. So Rand,
Yes.
at some point,
Yeah.
in this hypothetical future,
Goes to Shael Ghul.
goes to Shael Ghul.
Yeah, that's not that big of a surprise.
I don't know, it might be.
Rand has literally been talking like that.
So wouldn't it be such a big surprise if he never actually
Boom,
goes there?
I'm just not going to go there.
Yeah.
I like this. And then we get a timestamp, 40 years of war, and Andor hasn't been touched because of the Aiel. So there's a lot of contention between Ankala and Talana.
Queen Talana.
There's a lot of contention between the two because they are both of dragon lineage.
Yes.
However, Ankala, the Aiel, are fighting the Shanshan, and Queen Talana and the Andorans can sit back in their pretty palace and not do anything.
Because of the Pact of Peace.
Exactly. The Dragon's Peace.
Yes.
Right. So, Ankala and Talana are not friends, even though their great mothers were first sisters. So that's Helena
and that's
Avienda.
when you get the little, tidbit.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's kind of sad, because, like, they're sworn allegiance, like, they're sworn to be aligned with each other because of Helena and Avienda, but these two friggin' hate each other. They are disrespectful to each other. They do not like each other. It's just, like, it's a little bit sad, right?
I guess so.
You would like to imagine that your best friend / lover, like, your children could get along.
My grandchildren.
That's not that far away.
Like, my best friend's grandchildren and my grandchildren, I have no say about whether or not they get along with each other.
But, like, the fact that they effing hate each other.
No, and it's just like with this whole noble thing, like, it's
There's
wartime.
no noblesse oblige.
There's none of
that going on right now. Yeah. Nothing.
Yeah. Anyway, I also can't stand that.
I can't wait for Avienda to go to Helena and be like, your granddaughter's a bitch.
Yeah, honestly.
She's the worst.
And she's not even pretty.
Yeah.
It says specifically, Queen Talana was a middle-aged woman with deep, lustrous red hair, not very pretty, but very regal.
But, like, okay,
Thanks,
this is from
Brandon
Ankala.
Sanderson.
This is
That's
from
the
Ankala's
worst
perspective.
Not very pretty.
It's from Ankala's perspective,
I
who
know.
doesn't like her.
So sassy.
Yeah.
Ugh, not even pretty.
Not even. And that's what you want in a queen, right? That's like the number one characteristic.
The one thing you want.
That's what I look for.
Better be pretty.
It better be. With all that money and power,
Yeah.
you at least gotta be pretty. Okay, alright, so let's start this conversation between Queen Talana and Ankala.
Well, after some insults. Deliberate insults.
Making me wait.
Yeah.
Things of that nature.
Yeah. And then we also get that Talana has a brother here.
Yeah.
And we also get that the throne here in Camelin is still called the Lion Throne.
Yes.
So that hasn't changed.
Yeah. But they are flying dragon banners to show off the dragon lineage.
Well, we have to. Yeah.
You have to. Because that's important. That does carry a lot of weight, actually, in all these scenes and perspectives.
Yeah. And so Queen Talana is kind of a bitch.
Yep.
She's like, still carrying the spear, I see.
Yeah, when are you going to do your duty? And
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, I assume you're here to beg for aid again. Rude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Hayal,
Yep.
he ignores it.
And is like, we got something for you.
Yeah, and there's a pouch, and they hand it over, and again, insulting, because they open and inspect the pouch as if they were some sort of assassins, right? Mm-hmm. Rude. Anyways, this little pouch with papers gets passed over to the queen, and then we get some more information about the dragon's piece, because Hayal has been working over the past decade to plant seeds of doubt into the other nations that the Shanshin aren't going to keep the oaths. So currently, they are. The Shanshin are at war with the Aiel because the Aiel are at war with the Shanshin.
Well, and what we know about the Shanshin in our current day is when you swear the oaths, as long as you're not a channeler, they'll leave you alone.
Right.
They just want to rule. They don't even want war.
Yeah, but the battle lines, and this is the big thing too. So the battle lines, like they said, haven't changed. So the land and territory that the Shanshin have now in our current time seem to be the same.
Well, whatever happens between now
exactly.
and when Rand
like
goes
plus
to
or minus whatever percent you want to do for that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But we've got the Aiel battling the Shanshin, and the rest of the nations are more or less peaceful with each other and with the Shanshin. They're not fighting each other. There is a little phrase where it's like, oh, the nations attack each other, but nobody really talks about it. But overall, there does seem to be a lot of peace.
Interesting. Okay.
So these papers that the Aiel, Ankala, Hayal, what they did was because the attack on Ruidian, they went in to the palace in Abu Dar and found all these plans from the Shanshin that talk about very detailed plans of assassinating the leaders, especially the Queen Talana, how to invade Andor, and all these different, like Two Rivers, how to invade Ilion, how to take over the world, basically. They found all these, they gathered up all the papers, and now they're presenting them to Queen Talana.
Yeah, and she's like, where did you get these
She's
from?
very concerned now, as you should be. So, this is the play. The Shanshin have been peaceful. The Raven's Empire has been growing in skill with the One Power, but the Aiel are holding them at the as stalemate right now. But the Aiel have realized, on Kala, they've realized that they can't beat the Shanshin by themselves. Yeah. So they need to bring the other nations into this if they want to win.
Got it.
If they have any hope of winning.
Okay, so now Talana's like, yeah, but what about the dragon's piece? And then Hayal goes, what do they care for the dragon?
Right.
They're invaders who forced him to bow to their empress. She's considered above him.
And we know that that's one of their prophecies.
Oh, no.
But that's been a whole thing since we met the Shanshin. Their whole thing is a prophecy about the dragon must bow to the Empress before the last battle.
Yeah.
That has to happen.
Has to.
So, and we've speculated about that a fair amount.
What that looks like, yeah.
But yeah, what does it look like? Is he legitimately gonna
do it?
Or is it gonna be like a funny little thing, or like an accidental trip and what is it gonna be?
Yeah, well, the Aiel here think that the Shanshin will not keep their promises that they made to this guy who they consider an inferior.
Yeah.
And it's only a matter of time before they attack and
they break the peace.
Yeah.
But that's the point, is up until now, they have kept the peace, which is a little bit
And the Aiel just have refused to surrender.
Yeah.
Because they keep stealing their women who can channel.
Exactly. And I'm not trying to justify that the Aiel shouldn't be. We should be fighting the Shanshin. We should be. I think we should be. It's
even
not
if
good.
It means the entire obliteration of your whole people.
But we got to get everybody else on board. And I understand again why we want to do that. So the whole ploy that they're doing here, they're not specifically lying.
No.
But what they did was they removed the page that explains that all these assassination and nation takeover attempts, they explain, this paper says these are just contingencies in case Andor jumps the gun and enters the conflict.
Yeah.
Then they'll do these plans.
They're prepared. We know the Shanshin are good at fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's they prepare so much. We know that they learn from their mistakes. We know that they really strategize. They're crazy in a lot of ways, but very dangerous. So now Talana says, I got to talk to my advisors about this, but Ankala and Hayal, they know that if we can get her to think about joining, they're going to join in because they don't want to be left behind.
The trick had been to get her to consider action.
That's the trick. So they didn't lie, but they did leave out that one very important explanation sheet. So this is the turning point in the war, the other nations getting involved in the conflict.
They would as well, particularly those in the Pact of the Griffin.
Yes.
And those in the Court of the Sun.
You know, we can kind of break this down too.
Can I tell you what my speculation of the Pact of the Griffin is?
Do it. Break it down.
Okay.
What's a griffin?
Well, a griffin...
Yeah, do it.
...is like a flying lion.
Sure.
Like an eagle lion?
Yeah.
Or maybe perhaps a hawk lion?
Okay, do it.
Is it like Glad and Berlane and like Mayan, you know?
Well, look at the packs right now.
Oh, the Eagle of Manetheren.
Well,
it's the eagle.
Well, yeah. So we've got like Andor, the head of the lion.
Yeah.
Right. We got the body of whatever you want to call it, like a wolf, maybe like Perrin.
Okay, well, it's a body of a lion. But
we've got Mayan, the eagle's wings. Kind of got a griffin going on here. But look at Perrin's allegiances right now. He's literally aligned with Mayan. He's aligned with Andor. He's starting to figure out how to align with Andor. He's aligned with, like, Aleandra Gildan. He's connected to Saldea, like, through Fail.
Yeah.
So, like, if you look at all these, like, you can make a griffin.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fun.
I'll make a griffin. No, it's probably the eagle, the red eagle of Manetheren, and the lion.
You could definitely do it. Like, who knows where the actual...
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm not going to...
Nope, I decided that's
what
it
is. But then Court of the Sun. Also, like, you could speculate, and we don't know how Elaine taking over Kyrie, like how that translates into the future.
No, because it doesn't seem like Queen Talana has...
It doesn't seem like she's the queen of Kyrian also, but like Court of the Sun, like that kind of makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like I get where we might be going with that in the future.
Okay.
Especially since we had, what was it, a scour or the burning of Kyrian? Mm-hmm. So again, poor Kyrian keeps getting burned down.
Well, the Aiel never really liked them.
Yeah, it's not great.
Laman really messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That place has had a tough time. All right, so their whole thing, trick Queen Talana, in a sense, into joining the war, and then they can all fight the Shanshin together, because eventually the Shanshin will seize Andor, and if the war goes badly, Ankala thinks, well, we can just go back to the Waste, because there's no way the Shanshin can fight us there.
Right.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Wrong.
That's bad.
It's not going to be the Raven Empire that rises. It's going to be the Dragon Empire.
And what I don't love about Ankala is, like, she's like, I have the blood of the dragon reborn in my veins. I deserve to rule.
Yeah, it's not great.
It would not be the Raven Empire that rose at the end of this, but the Dragon Empire.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, no.
Oh, no.
Shoot.
She doesn't even know the future.
No. I think that she would be a dark friend.
What?
She wants power and glory.
Oh, she would be.
She would be.
Like, okay.
If that exists.
We don't know.
In this day and age.
They don't really talk about that.
They don't at all.
They got bigger things to worry about.
Mostly the Shanshin.
The Shanshin, yeah. Well,
and this is from the point of view of the Aiel and their entire culture, again, being obliterated.
Yeah. Now, and what's the point? Okay, so like hypothetically, we win the last battle, defeat the Dark One, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
If we don't have the Dark One actively promising me power and immortality, what's the point of joining his club?
Oh, I wouldn't.
It's a dumb club.
Oh, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No way. I only joined that club because he was like, I'm going to give you stuff.
Like free snacks?
Now he's not even promising anything.
No snacks.
He's all, dead Andor locked away, Andor gone. He's just not here. He was never here today.
He was never here.
Okay.
Okay, that's the end of this perspective.
I liked it. It's such a good one.
Yeah. And so Avienda is back as Avienda.
Yeah. Steps again.
Having a real hard time.
Ankala, no honor. Ugh.
Ankala, she's ruined us.
And the worst part, when she was in Ankala's head, Ankala thought about her grandmother, great mother.
It was Avienda.
It was Avienda's face. And she's like,
oh my God.
That's me.
My granddaughter ruined
the worst.
Everything. She sucks.
Could I be responsible for some of this? No, it's the children who are wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be trippy to see yourself through the eyes of your own granddaughter, though. Like, that'd be freaky.
Okay, so here's the funny thing. Okay, let me just flip back for a second.
Sure.
Okay, so before she had nearly reached the very center of the columns, and now she stepped forward into the very center of the columns.
Yeah, this still doesn't help.
No, because she's about to step out of them at the end of this one, right?
You would think.
Or maybe no. Okay, well, let's get there. Okay. Okay, so she nearly stepped to the center, and now she is stepping into the center. Got it.
That helps.
Thanks.
Do you get it now?
Thanks, Brandon.
Yep.
Yeah, real good.
Yeah, I understand it completely.
Okay.
I don't need anybody to explain this to me.
I think Padra might be my new favorite character.
Do you?
In the book series.
Really?
Just in general. Yeah. I just think the daughter of Avienda and Rand is...
We have some crazy things happening here in this perspective.
Oh my gosh, so crazy.
It is crazy. Crazy.
I like how super powerful she is.
Do you remember the speculation about like the oddness about Avienda's children?
Yeah, kind of.
There was literally it's right? Like there's gonna be like 4 of them, but like there's something.
They're not all from you or something.
Well,
like that?
no, it's like there's something different. It's not that it's not from you.
Well, now you have to look up the wording. I'm surprised you don't have that prepared for us.
Yeah, that's fair.
You better do that right now.
Okay, fine. Okay, chapter 12, Winter's Heart, A Lily in Winter.
Ooh.
Min is doing, I think she's drinking at the time, and she's getting a lot of visions.
Okay.
And I pulled up the actual paragraph here.
Okay.
Min wondered whether to tell her, Avienda, what she had seen while they were all together. Avienda would have Rand's babies too, because they just talked about Elaine's too.
Right, okay.
4 of them at once. Something was odd about that, though. The babies would be healthy, but still something odd. And people often did not like hearing about their futures, even when they said they wanted to.
Okay.
So, something odd.
Something odd, hey?
Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, the fact that they can perpetually and always hold the power and channel and weave as fast as they can think.
Well, this one anyway.
Can.
At least she can.
Yeah. It seems like there's something special about these ones.
Cool.
Yeah. So it's very cool. It's very neat.
Okay, when we get to their descriptions, we can talk about it.
Okay.
Oh, no. She'd been able to weave since she was a child. Her brothers and sisters were the same.
Yeah.
To them, it was natural, and all others who channeled seemed awkward by comparison.
Yeah, because it's just like they can do it super fast. It's kind of like how you think about doing stuff in like Teleranriad, and it just happens. Mm-hmm. It's like that natural instinct of doing things.
Yeah.
And then literally they are constantly, always, even while sleeping, holding the power.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very weird.
I don't know. I like it.
It's odd. It's odd.
I think it's great.
Okay.
Yeah. How could one be consumed by one's own flesh, bone, and blood?
It's just a party.
Saidara's a piece of her.
Yeah. So.
Okay, hold on, though, because I think we have to set the scene.
Right, we got to back it up.
Yeah. We got too excited.
We're Padra.
Yeah, we're Padra.
Daughter of the Dragon Reborn, you know.
Proud maiden of the spear.
Right.
Fighting the Shanshan. Actively in the middle of fighting Shanshan.
Well, I mean, she just pulled her spear out of the neck out of one of them, so if you want to call that actively, I guess so.
Okay.
Yeah. And the rest of them are fleeing through a gateway. Yeah.
The Shanshan. The rest of the Shanshan.
Yes.
And she thinks to herself, Light, curse the one who taught the Shanshan traveling.
Elida! I know.
That's what I just said.
I hate her so much.
Even if their weaves suck.
Yeah. So this is where the whole, like, their weaves are all, like...
Yeah, that's when we start talking about the... Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a whole thing we had to talk about.
So then the kids... Yeah.
Going through a gateway back to the Aiel camp.
Yeah, so her and her spear sisters are going to leave now because this was like just a little skirmish. This wasn't actually like a huge battle.
Yeah, okay.
Just a little guy.
Okay.
So.
And they are in a camp in a land called Eridomen.
Yes, so this is why I was talking about like the strikes on Almouth Plain because they are camped out, and we say camped out in Eridomen.
They've been here for a decade.
The camp hasn't moved. They're like, it's not a city, but like...
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. It's a city, but they've been here so long. So this is also where they agree to start fighting in truth, like starting a war. So I would have to assume the strike on all the Almouth Plain, like that's
the attack.
That's
on,
where
it
kicks off.
Aiel.
And I can see it escalating because then we get that like in the future Tear falls, and I can see them like retreating towards the spine. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, so she's here, and also, she's here to meet with Clan Chief Ronam, who is the son of Ruark.
Right.
And he is handsome.
And such a good chief.
Yes, and she would totally be down.
But she has to fight.
Yeah, right now it's fighting time, but like, you know, in the future, maybe.
Maybe.
So, we'll see.
Okay, so when she heads into this meeting,
Yeah.
She wants to go talk to this guy, Ronan.
Yeah, well, it's a big clan meeting. Clan chief meeting. So here's the thing. She's not a clan chief, and she's not a wise one, but she is of the lineage of the dragon, so that makes her something more, not like a lord, because Aiel don't have lords, but her and her siblings, because there's 4 of them, they are almost like in a position of power because of their lineage.
Mm-hmm.
So they are all here in this meeting that is specifically with the 11 clan chiefs.
Ooh, okay.
Yes.
Because she heads to this tent
Yeah.
and is surprised he's not alone.
Yeah.
And is like, oh, I'll come back. And he was like, no, we need you for this meeting.
Yeah.
And then that's when we
So like
learn...
she walks into like a big clan chief
Yeah.
meeting and thinks like, oh, I shouldn't, but she is here. She should be here for this.
Yeah. And that's when we learn about Alark.
Alark?
Alark?
Yeah.
Janduin.
Janduin. Ah,
Cute.
know that name.
Yeah.
And
Marina.
yeah, 2 brothers and two boys, 2 girls. So
Yeah.
she's got 2 brothers and a sister.
Though the 4 siblings were quadruplets, they looked very dissimilar.
Yeah. Did you write down the description? Did you have them?
I just have it here.
Okay.
Alark took more after their wetland side with dark hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Janduin was tall and blonde.
Right.
And then Mariana is small with a round face.
Yeah, and then I have to assume that like Padra is the most typical Aiel looking one. Like if they all
Yes.
look a little bit different, then that would make her the, quotational traditional Aiel woman.
Well, and I also want to believe that we're seeing almost like lineage, like at this point. And
Yeah.
so probably Ankala is Padra's daughter
yeah.
from the last vision.
Yeah, you'd have to hopefully assume, maybe. Would that make more sense?
Well, it could be from any one of these.
Yeah, like I don't
Realistically, but-
actually know, but
Yeah, I'm going to think it is.
still cool.
It's
Okay.
better for me to think that it is for
Sure.
my brain. Okay.
It doesn't hurt, doesn't help, so and it's all good. All right. So yeah, so now we've got this 11 clan chiefs, and here's the thing. The clan chiefs do have like blood oaths against each other. Some of them do. Right? We know the clan chiefs don't all
Sure.
get along.
But they've put it aside.
They
For a long
have,
time.
and something like this hasn't happened since the meeting before the last battle.
Okay.
So like this is a big deal that all 11 clan chiefs are actually here in this tent right now.
Yeah, a meeting like this
Plus-
hadn't happened in years. Yep.
Yeah, plus all the lineage of the dragon here. So first off, Padra's got a report about like what happened with the Shanshan patrol, and she says it is what we thought, and we engaged them. And then there's some grumbles because it's like, oh, like should we be killing the Shanshan? So then we've got one of the Goshain clan chief speaks up, Tavalad, and he says, well, it's not against the Dragon's Peace for the Shanshan to enter Eridoman. Like, they can come in here.
Right.
That's not breaking the pact. And Padra says, well, yeah, but killing them also isn't breaking the pact, because guess what?
You aren't bound by the Dragon's Peace.
We're not part of that. We're not
Yeah.
part of that. So, yeah.
And if the Shanshan wish to risk inspecting our camp, then they need to know that there is a risk in that.
Yeah, we can kill him like that, and that's where the whole like Aiel versus Shanshan is really kicking off here, and that's a problem. So, but we're actually here for a meeting. So one of the clan chiefs speaks up and is like, "Hey, we actually have a topic to discuss here.
We got something to say."
Yeah, we got 11 clan chiefs here. We've put aside all of our differences for now. The Aiel are growing restless because we are meant to be warriors, and the dragon asked for peace, but he left the Aiel out of it.
Yeah.
So the dragon made this giant peace pact with literally every nation and the Shanshan and was like, don't fight, from what it sounds like.
But he excluded the Aiel, probably
Yeah.
because he thought that's what the Aiel would want. Like, he wouldn't want the Aiel to be sworn to peace when their entire identity is being warriors.
Yeah.
So he probably thought he was doing such a good thing.
That's usually how things that Rand does. That's how it goes. He thinks he's making a good decision, and he has
Yeah.
good intentions, but you need to check in with some other people maybe before you make big unilateral decisions, man.
Maybe.
Rand, what are you doing here?
Yep.
Because now we have this weird conflict where it's like, okay, so we can't go to war because nobody's going to war, but like who do we fight?
Also, the Aiel are really bad at the idea or concept of change.
True.
Just in general. Like, it's been 10 years.
But it's like
There's a pact of peace.
Yeah.
You're not fighting each other. Can you just live nice lives?
No.
Like, do you have to be fighting someone?
Well, here's the thing. They talk about why. No, because they still have all of the Aiel people. The Shanshan have kept all the Aiel channelers. They kept them all prisoners.
Yeah, no, I know.
That's the entire point here.
That's the argument.
Yeah, and they have tried to barter, they have tried to pay for them, and the Shanshan are refusing everything forever, and they're disrespectful. So, like, the whole issue is, like, these people whose entire culture is based on war, like, what are they going to do? Go back to raiding each other's holds for sheep? Like, goats? Like, no, we're not.
I'm super mad also that Rand made everybody say, no problem, we won't fight the Shanshan, when the Shanshan have stolen all their women in the channel.
Yeah. But here's the thing. We know where Rand is coming from. His only concern is win the last battle. That was his entire point. His whole thing for the last while, Rand has been like, I need to make peace with the Shanshan because I can't fight them. I don't have time for that. I don't have time to fight the Shanshan. I have to worry about his only prophetic responsibility.
Rand is gone, they should fight the Shanshan.
I mean, debatably, yeah. Maybe the Dragon's Peace that's happening here isn't the best idea.
Yeah.
Like, that. Maybe that's the point of all this, right?
Yeah. They're just so gosh darn powerful.
Yeah.
Because they steal channelers and use them as weapons.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
Yeah, and they talk about that. And this is the issue, is like all of Randland was too busy fighting Rand on everything. He did his best to bring everybody together, but now he's got no time. He's got to go fight the last battle. He has to win. Prophetically, that's the only thing that's the only responsibility he has. And he's told them that. So, like, he has told them, the Randlanders, he said, my job is the last battle. And after that,
we don't actually
figure it out.
Well, okay. Yeah, okay. But we
Poor
don't know
guy.
how it all shook out in the end, you know?
Right. Okay. So now we got a couple of, like, nods back and forth because it's like, what are we supposed to do? We're not going to go back to raiding each other's holds for sheep and goats. Like, we're not doing that. And there's no point in that. But we also can't, like, how long do we have to wait for the Shanshan to return our people to us? We have tried everything.
Yeah.
And the old Empress, so Tuon, from what it sounds like, had been considered a woman of honor by Ronam's father, so that's Ruark. Yeah. And an understanding had nearly been reached with her, so it was said, but it's been a long time since her, like, rule.
Since she was ruling,
Since
yeah.
she was,
Since she was alive.
Since she was alive, yeah. I mean, it sounds like she's dead now, so. Okay, so it's tricky.
Right. And it's also interesting, Padra contemplates what her mother often spoke of.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest problem here is what is to be of the Aiel now that their duty has been fulfilled and their toe as a people has been cleansed. Now what's the point?
It's almost like that's what Avienda has been talking about this whole time.
Yeah.
What's the point?
What's the point?
Right. All right, so now we're going to push through this conversation. Ronam keeps this conversation going because he's a good leader.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, okay, so what are we doing? Because the Aiel are clashing, and they're restless, and they're fighting, right?
Yep.
And everyone agrees that the Dragon's Peace isn't going to last anyway. And this is where we get that little hint that the nations are still fighting a little bit, but nobody talks about it. Because the Karakarn required promises from the monarchs, but there's, like, of peace, but there's no enforcement of that.
No, everyone's just promise. Sort of abiding by it, but
also not, and just like, we're just gonna sweep it under the rug here.
Yeah.
So Padra knows what's gonna be happening next. She knows that war with the Shanshan is inevitable because, like, look where we are right now.
Right, and then she goes on to have a child and tells her child, we have to fight the Shanshan. Everyone has to fight the Shanshan.
Yeah. Yep. So this is where Ronam asks the children of the dragon, says, what do you guys think?
Right.
So now we're going to get a couple of opinions from the kids.
Seems like they're on the same page.
Yeah. So, I mean, but in different ways. So Marina speaks up and says, well, we got to reclaim our own people from the Shanshan. Like, we have to do that.
I agree.
Yeah. Then we have Alark, who looks at Janduin, because typically Alark will defer to Janduin's opinion.
Yep.
And he says the Aiel must have a purpose. And we didn't make no promise that we weren't going to fight.
At least that's what Mama said.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we didn't make no promises about not fighting the Shanshan here. So, like, let's do this thing.
Okay.
And then finally, with Padra, says, they're our enemies. Like, she is not...
No, and I agree. They are.
Yeah, they're your enemies. And then all the clan chiefs nod along.
They're
and then Ronam's like, yep, time to go to war. Go tell your clans. Let's do this thing.
And then we get a little note, 17 years was too long for the Aiel to be without battle. So does that mean it's been 17 years since the last battle?
Sounds like that. It sounds like that, yeah. Okay. Because if the Dragon's Peace took effect right after, like, why wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And then the Aiel haven't really been fighting for 17 years in any big frame capacity, of, like, yeah, exactly.
I would assume the last battle they fought in
was the last battle. right? Or thereabouts. So close enough. Close enough.
Okay. So what you're telling me is that after the last battle, more battles ensued?
Sounds like that.
So then the last battle was not actually, in fact,
Yeah.
the last of the battles.
It was just like another battle. So rude.
It was a big one, though.
It was a big one.
But was it the last?
No.
No. Unless it was the last against the Dark One.
Except it's not because the Wheel of Time. Wheel of Time turns. That's the point.
But maybe now it won't. Because the Dark One dead. Destroyed it, sealed up, gone.
Yeah, okay, sure. Those are all different things you just said.
I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, want to have a little discussion about what Rand was like?
No, yeah. Well, according to Ronam, it was like, oh, well, I remember when Rand came to Cold Rock's Hold for the first time. It's like, do you though, Ronam?
Well, yeah, because he's 10 years older than her.
Yeah.
And so if she's like, I don't know,
now you're
20,
just guessing.
Well, I'm guessing she's like 20 because she's fighting and she's thinking of getting married, but she's not going to do it yet.
Sure.
So I'm going to say like 20
to 30.
Because if the last battle was 17 years ago and she doesn't have memories of her father,
sure,
chances are she was quite young.
Sure.
So that puts her between 17 and like 21.
Sure. Boom. Easy.
And then that puts this dude at like 27 to 31.
I love it. Okay.
And so he was probably like 10 years old.
Cool.
And is like, oh yeah, I remember that dude walking around with my dad.
And you know who didn't interact with me very much? Rand, because I was 10 years old. And it's like, what are you doing with that 10-year-old, Rand?
He was an impressive man.
Sure. A lot of people would be, especially the Karin / Drag Reborn / most powerful channeler to a 10-year-old. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turns out, though clever and a great leader, he never understood the Aiel fully.
And whose fault is that?
Avienda's
fault. That
was her job.
That was her one job. She had one job given to her by the Wise Ones.
You think that Ruark could have taught him something?
Maybe a little bit, but it wasn't his job.
No, turns out.
It's Avienda's job.
Okay, so what if, in Avienda's desperation to change this future, she does a better job teaching Rand about being Aiel?
Sure. Well, we're going to have to do something, and we're all at a time.
You know what we should do? We should drag Rand here and make him do the backwards walk. Maybe you physically walk backwards.
I really don't think that's what it is. Of all the things I've been thinking, it's not that. Okay. Do I make a beeping sound like a truck backing up?
No, you make a VCR rewinding sound.
Or like when the tape gets eaten.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, I gotta return this to Blockbuster. Oh, they're not gonna like this. Yeah. Oh man. My gosh. Okay. There's a lot of old words we just said there that some people are not gonna understand what just happened.
Anyway, whole conversation. Rand was fine, but he planned for everybody else except the Aiel. Although I'm sure in Rand's mind he had the Aiel planned for him.
Well, it sounds like he specifically left them out because he thought that that's what the Aiel would want. Like, Clearly. It would make them happy to be left out of the pacts of everything. But, like, that's not helpful. No. It's not helpful.
No. And then some say they should have just returned to the Threefold Land.
Yeah.
But no, that wouldn't have worked because their fathers knew nothing of steam, horses, and dragon tubes.
Nothing about that.
And what does that have to do with the Threefold Land?
He's just saying, like, if they go back to the Threefold Land, they're going to get left behind in civilization. And, like, civilization is going to catch up at some point. Like, we can go back, but time is going to keep moving forward. And at some point, the Shanshan are building that superhighway through the waste.
Well, maybe they wouldn't, though. If they had gone back to the Threefold Land before all of this...
No.
Maybe that's what's going to happen. Maybe it'll be like, oh no, we got to go back now before we get caught up in any of this Shanshan business.
Yeah, I mean, like, let's get all these terrible ideas out right now. You might as well just, like, keep spitballing those.
Okay, anyway, turns out
that's it.
There's only one thing the Aiel know how to do, and it's go to war.
Yeah.
So let's do it.
Yeah, let's do this thing.
There's much honor in war, and that feels a little wrong.
It's a little bit off of Geof.
Yeah, because that's the end of this journey.
Yeah.
That's the end of that. Because Avienda is not going to see anything else. That's it.
She steps out, and we get the perspective change back to Avienda. She's exhausted, and she's in shock from seeing her children.
And
that would be crazy.
She recognized their faces from her first visit to Ruidian. Mm-hmm. But she had not seen this.
Nope.
and she says out loud, "Is it destined? Can we change it?" And that's what I was thinking the whole time.
And the sassy columns don't say anything.
No answer.
In fact, it seems like they've been shut off. This is a problem here too, and this is part of the question I'm going to ask you. So she wants to know, and she's horrified at like what she's seeing, the decay of the Aiel, the fact that it's her line that dooms her people.
Yes.
It's not good for her soul. It's not great.
Okay, but to be fair, if we walk through the lineage of descendants
Sure.
of other Aiel,
Right.
chances are
Some of them.
other people also make decisions.
But you know who's seeing these visions right now?
Avienda.
Avienda. Okay. So she gets angry and then takes another step because she's like, well, I want to see more, but nothing happens. And then she keeps like calling out, demanding to see like what part she plays.
Show me what I did to cause this.
Yeah, the pillars seem dead, and she reaches out and touches one, but there's no hum, no sense of power.
No life.
So
yeah.
is this it, or is it just it for her?
Is it for her?
Okay, you are not on the side of like this. These
She wrecked them.
they're done. Not wrecked, but like used.
They've done their purpose, and now they're over.
done. They're done.
I don't
Toasted.
think Terangrials get toasted.
Well,
Except for the one that Nynaeve melted.
Okay.
That one got toasted.
Okay. But these, it's like you don't get to use it anymore.
Yes.
Your turn is done.
Your turn is done.
Send somebody else.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe that's why it's forbidden to go back again, because nothing will happen and it's a waste of your time.
Well, and I mean also, like, no, that would be a third time. That'd be a third time.
Well, no.
Yeah.
No, I would assume maybe for... Oh, no, because that goes against the other thing I said. Where everybody could go backwards and forwards.
Contradictions. And it contradicts the other thing you say where it's like, oh, no, I just got to walk backwards through them.
Yeah.
Make the rewind noise as you do it. Okay, so then she asks again, can I change it? And then she thinks, like, well, even if I can't, is that going to stop me from trying? And it's a resounding no.
100% no.
Of course not.
I'm going to try to change this.
Yeah, she came here for knowledge, and she got it. But I appreciate her next thought process is not like, I need to do something like to fix this.
No.
She's like, I need to go
have meetings with very important people.
I need to talk to the other wise ones. Like, I'm going to share this knowledge. I appreciate that.
Me too.
That her first thought is like, okay.
Yeah, team tell the wise ones.
Let's get more people involved in this. It's not just up on me. Like, we can get everybody involved
also,
in the future of the Aiel.
Bring them here.
Let's give it a go.
Let's just gateway.
Give it a whirl.
Let's just see.
Right?
Because maybe they need to see something too.
You could tell maybe if it's like, can we change things? Where even by telling the wise ones about this fact, would that affect the future?
Well, of course. Everything.
So would what they see...
Butterfly flapping its wings over here on this side of the world.
Boom, tsunamis.
Changes shit on this side of the world.
That's how tsunamis are formed.
That's how butterfly
Freaking butterflies,
works. Man.
That's how it works. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of questions, and that's these chapters open up so many questions, and I love it. That you got to know that like we're 100% gonna get every answer we ever wanted. We're gonna get every question we want is gonna be answered by the end of the series.
I actually think it will.
Interesting.
Yep.
I'm glad you think that.
Part of me...
Look at you, so hopeful.
Listen, part of me
Yeah.
was thinking that this is part of that process.
Mm-hmm.
Where we sort of get to see what happens after the last battle.
Yeah.
Through others' visions.
Okay.
And that's kind of maybe how...
But I don't want this to be the real future.
I definitely don't want that to be the real future.
Yeah.
However, if it is, like, it's an interesting way to kind of show us what happens to the Aiel people in the end.
Yeah.
And if, in fact, this is a wheel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
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 We kind of have to go one way to get to another thing. But I'm also now extra curious about this quadruplets that look nothing alike thing. And some of them kind of look like Min. So that's the thing. You know, the one with dark hair and the one with the round face?
Yeah, you thinking like Elaine and Min?
Yes.
Okay. Maybe because like they're all bonded and stuff?
No. I don't think that Avienda has them. I think it's an adoption situation.
Okay.
Except for maybe this Padra. But like maybe they have their babies like at the same time because of weird, crazy Taviran magic.
Yeah, but like wasn't it specifically like, okay.
I don't know. I have to listen back
You just
So
gotta,
whatever chapter you
gotta
said that was, and whatever predictions I made about that.
You gotta reread the Wheel of Time. That's all you gotta do.
Well, maybe.
First thing you gotta do.
Maybe one day. But right now, for this moment...
That one day is becoming very quickly
I'm just thinking.
Okay, alright.
Okay, so tell me, next episode?
Yeah, 2 chapters.
Are you sure this time?
Yes. These aren't as big
'Kay.
as these 2 were.
Well, that's exciting for me.
Yeah.
And everyone.
Like, they're good chapters.
You know...
But they're just not as...
Yesterday, when we were like, oh, we don't want to record for 3 hours, people were like, you know what we want? 3-hour episodes.
I get that you want it. My brain shuts off.
Yeah.
I do not have the stamina, the physical endurance to do that.
I need to go to bed right now. That's what I need.
Yeah. Like, I just can't. My brain can't handle
That's funny.
That along with everything else.
You know who doesn't care?
Who? Oh,
the
everybody.
People. Yeah, everybody.
Else. Want my 3-hour episode.
Yeah.
Hey, man, here's the thing. Just go listen to them back to back. That's how podcasts work.
Yeah, I know,
you can listen to it again.
No, but they have to wait for part 2. That's what they didn't like.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay, but now we'll get 2 chapters.
2 chapters, 50-51.
That's exciting.
Yes. Yeah. It is. It's a race to the end. We are real close.
I know. Well, I actually have like the physical book in my hand for these chapters.
Yeah.
And there is not a lot of pages left.
There's not. Like there might be.
And half of this feels like the glossary.
There's gonna be more double chapters. I just don't know exactly yet.
Okay, figure out how many we have to the end, because we also have our 6-year pod-iversary.
Well, there's 57 chapters and an epilogue. I know how many chapters there are.
No, I mean episodes.
Yeah.
How many episodes left?
Okay.
Before our recap, and we're going to celebrate our 6-year pod-iversary.
There's either 5 or 6 episodes left.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's exciting. And when this comes out, it will really be almost exactly to the date of 6 years.
Yeah.
That we released our first 3 episodes.
Nice.
For the world to hear.
Very cool. Okay.
Wow, 6 years, hey?
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
This is stupid, actually.
Yeah. 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 Yep.
Wow.
It's been going. A few things have happened in the world.
Who knew that we could just be so persistent? Who knew?
Yeah.
Not me.
It's that 2 river stubbornness.
I think this is the longest consecutive job I've ever had.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
How about that?
Okay.
Well.
Does that make you feel good?
Happy pod-iversary, babe.
Not yet. Not
yet.
Yeah,
when this episode comes out.
Oh.
When people are listening to it.
Okay. Very exciting.
Yeah.
Happy pod-iversary.
And then we'll celebrate with our Q&A. Maybe we'll do a YouTube live stream.
Cool. Maybe. There's a lot of things happening right now.
I know. It'll be fine.
Okay.
Well, before you go ahead and celebrate 6 years of podcasting, I'm going to say that this is part of the pattern now.
Yeah, it's part of the pattern.
Hey, thanks so much for sticking around. That's the end of another fun episode. The Wheel Weaves is hosted and edited by Dani and Brett and produced by Dani and Brett with Passion Socks, Cody Feltz, Benjamin, Jamie Young, Megan, Jared Berg, Ricky Morissette, Adam, Mozyme, Michelle Forbes, MKM, Antoine Benoit, Lawrence Bradley, Colby T, Gabby Young, Rycat, Zane Sayaka, Matrix, Matt Truss, The Albatross, Bratimus Prime, Sarah Creech, Sims, and Saverio Bartolini. With music by Audionautics. Now, everyone, please be sure to go check out our Patreon page if you are interested in supporting us and the podcast. We'd love to send you some Patreon-exclusive merchandise as a thank you, plus you'll gain access to our episodes earlier than everyone else. And, at the time of recording, we have almost 50 bonus episodes for your listening pleasure. Find all that and more at patreon.com/thewheelweavespodcast. As always, please be sure to give us a 5-star review because it really does make a huge difference in helping other people find us. And be sure to tell a friend, Riyadh, because referrals really are the best compliment. For general information about our show, like how to send us shot glasses, how to join our Discord, and how to get in touch with us, visit thewheelweavespodcast.com. Thanks again for listening. This really is part of the pattern now.